Hi, so I'm Tariq Woods, and this is my reflection video for English 150. And during this video, I'm going to try to cover everything that we've done in the class. Some projects I'll cover a little bit more in depth than others, but just because of their impact on me and some personal bias. But first, I want to say something about this course as a whole. This course was not easy for me. I've taken 3 Englishes, 2 philosophy classes, and a communication class here at UNC, and none of them have challenged me as much as English 150. Now, some might say, Tariq, how could an intro class be so challenging for you? And the short answer is that I've never been forced to really push myself to think critically first and then display my thoughts through a medium such as Camtasia or a playlist or a Spark page. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is the playlist. After reading Cormac McCarthy's The Road, we developed 2 projects, and the first was a playlist of songs that we thought contributed to the themes, symbols, imagery, and meaning of the novel as a whole. My playlist includes 6 songs, but I'm only going to review the best 3. The first one being Radioactive by Imagine Dragons. This song was my first choice and is one of the only 2 songs left from the original soundtrack. Imagine Dragons perfectly captures the setting and mood of the novel The Road, with lyrics like I'm waking up to ash and dust, which is essentially how the novel begins, with the father waking up to a destroyed world. The novel, to me, also goes to great lengths to discuss what humanity actually is and highlights a path to a new type of civilization. This song embodies the feeling of a new age, as another lyric in the song says, that rises out of the ashes of the old world. The second song that I want to discuss is Luther Vandross's Dance with My Father. So, Dan, you might know what this song is, but for those of you that don't, it describes a man's childhood and his father's impact on the skills that he learned in his life, particularly dancing. Of course, this song is relevant because of the lessons about humanity that the father taught the boy that he could not have learned on his own, such as reading when he reads the labels on the cans or eating with utensils. The third and final song that I want to talk about is a remix of Mary Did You Know by the Pentatonics. I chose this remix because I felt like the boy's Christ like image was definitely a remix of the Bible. Also, the song addresses the boy's mother. The boy is compared to the golden chalice and the moral compass. He even has his own prophet Elijah. The essay, written from an angle, was a semester long project that was probably the most difficult and my most successful project. After 3 drafts, we finally got a great copy that tackled the issue of humanity, morality, and food in the novel The Road. With every new piece of information we learned about the road, with every conversation our class would have, we would gain new perspectives and new things to add to our papers. My first draft is almost a completely different paper than my final draft. And even though that has never happened to me before during a paper, I'm proud of the end result and proud of all the new skills that I have when it comes to critically thinking about not just novels from an outside angle and being able to put it on paper. So the next project we did was the e-poem. And in a common English class, poetry is a common tool used to make students think past the words on the page. This class took that one step further and made me not only express the things behind the words through more words, but also through images, video, and sound. All of these things put together should evoke the mood cast by the poem, and I was able to get a good sense of the poem that I chose after reading it aloud to the class. Initially, I thought that the project would be simple and went straight to work, but after my first draft, I was able to revise it thanks to some help from Dan, and I ended up with a much better project. The poem I chose, Walking Through the Dark by William Stratford, embraced the story of a man who finds a pregnant dead doe on the side of the road, and he hesitates as he must throw the doe into the river so that more people don't hit it and possibly kill themselves. I was able to really pick up on some of those messages of life and warmth and death and hesitation through my final version of the e-poem. I was also able to find better quality images to go along with the video. Overall, I think this project was great. So after the technology crisis, I did the Gone Home review, Is it a game? Not quite, but it's definitely not a novel. This game was one of my more fun projects that really made me think around how I usually analyze mediums, and it made me look at it through a different light and find things that were used to display mood and themes. Novels usually use imagery and descriptive words, but this game opened up new and very utilized possibilities. I chose to review specifically the setting of the game and how it added to the mood of the overall story. Because I only had 4 days to complete this project, I wasn't able to go into as much depth as I would have hoped, but if I could do it again, I would start with slowing down. Since I had to talk at the speed of the videos I had taken, I was trying to hurry and rush through it, in my talking especially. Also, I would talk more about the letters that the girls write to each other and the privacy of the people living in the house and whether or not it was right to be going through their home. I believe that both of these topics are made very visible from the beginning, and they're found on the floor, hanging on the walls, signs on doors. Zooming in and making them easier to read for whoever is watching the video could be a very useful tool in making it clear. Through analyzing the setting, we find a girl going through some serious life changes, especially with her family and sexuality, and their home displays this accurately. Overall, I rated this game a 7 out of 10 because I do believe that it fell short and came up to some cliches, and that made the game kind of predictable. I could kind of tell where it was going. Also, I believe that the game would work better if they allowed the player to have more control over the decisions that were made. Next up was the Blade Runner and Do Androids Dream of Sheep project. We read the novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep in our class, which from now on throughout this paragraph I'm going to refer to as Dados, and I have to say, it is not one of my favorite novels. Similar to The Road, it's post apocalyptic society, but it's drastically different from what makes people, well, people. I did not get to talk about why I prefer The Road to Dados, so I'm going to do a little of that here. In The Road, we found that the boy ends up being the moral compass, and that even though he is young, he is trained in the art of being human. This involves reading and writing, empathy, and civility. In Dados, they test humanity based on empathy readings, and I think that there is a lot more to being human. I did, however, like the movie Blade Runner more because they made the replicants look like humans instead of robots with ticks. This draws in the audience and pulls on our characteristics of being human and makes us feel uncomfortable when they get shot down because they bleed and they look like humans. They scream just like humans. Through this project, I discussed differences between the movie Blade Runner and the novel Dados using Camtasia, which by this point, a full week before the class was over, I was more comfortable with using. Surprisingly, I mean, to myself, I've gained a great new skill. So now this is the reflection piece. By no means am I the most technologically savvy, but through this class, not only have I learned to adapt to changing academic and outside environments, but also experience meaning and symbolism through different mediums. I have been exposed and practiced finding those meetings through alternative mediums and displaying them in other ways than papers. In the future, I want to go into politics and law, and this class has really opened my eyes to new ways to learn and grasp concepts, which will be very important to my future. I am glad to have taken this class. I was a little skeptical in the beginning, but I could never have learned this through anywhere else. Not to mention, our class was great and full of smart people who challenged the things that I thought. Being one of the two freshmen in this class was a little difficult. I was and still am new to this fast paced, hardcore academic lifestyle, um, and it was a challenge. But I've learned more out of this class than I have from any other while here at UNC. Thanks, Stan. If I'm ever president, you'll have to come by the White House so we can chat about how to keep away apocalypses.